Hello YouTubers, this week from this piece of beech I'm going to make this. I always think that's quite bizarre when I do that, because at this moment in time all I've got is a rough idea of what I want to do, and yet you get to see the finished article. Be interesting to see if my idea of the finished article is the same as what turns up. This beech I used that was cut down in the village about 3 years ago, so it's quite dry. I used one piece and it was starting to sport, it was quite nice, so I used another piece that wasn't, it was quite plain beech, which is quite nice because it's a lovely brown, sandy brown colour. And the last piece that I used was absolutely infested with some sort of wood-borne beetle that I ended up burning it. So it'll be interesting to see what's inside of this piece. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to see how much of this I can cut away with the bandsaw, and then mount it in the lathe, get a 4-prong spur in that end and a revolving centre. I've drilled down there with a 25mm spade bit. I'll just put my 4-prong spur. My nice new mallet. Well, as you can see, I've got this up in the lathe between the centre and my 4-prong spur, and you can also see that is massively out of balance. When I let that go, how quickly that drops back to the bottom. So that means I can't turn my speed up very high, or else that lathe starts jumping about all over the place and end up trying to chase it around the workshop. So it's not a matter now. I've got a 1/2-inch spindle gauge, and I'm just going to go through now and just try and ruffle this down. I'm starting on this end, which, as you can see, it's quite, what would you call it, out of line, I suppose. So it's just a matter of trying to tidy this bottom up. What I want to do is take this down. That left hand side, as we're looking at it, that will be the bottom of my hollow form, and really I want to just try and turn that away so that I can get on and get a tenon on there so I can get it set up in the chuck. Where that lathe, where that piece is so out of balance, I can only actually turn the speed up to around, I think it's about 400. If I start going above that, it does start jumping about. Obviously, the more wood I get to take away, the more it comes into shape, the more I can turn the speed up. But for the time being, I just need to be patient and just do a little bit at a time. I was being lazy here, and I really should have got my chainsaw out and taken the top of that log off just to straighten it up. And I ended up, it took me ages to actually try and turn all that away. So what I'm going to do, carry on now and just ruffle this away, and I'll get back to you when I get back to a closer shape that I'm looking for. Well, I've roughed that down pretty much the shape I want. I need to take some clean up cuts. Just refine that shape slightly. I'll put a tenon on this end, but you can see the beautiful wood coming through there. Just starting to sport through there, and then we get into this beautiful, this is what beech, like the heartwood, looks like, and this is a softer outwood, will stand up beautiful. So pretty much shape I want. I'll just do some clean up cuts, and then I'll get to turn it around in the chuck. So that's pretty much that finished. I'm going to put my panel in there. There's quite a white, quite a bland piece through there, because that white piece there is sort of starting to sport. Then we get into that beautiful brown there, so that's what I'm going to cut down my panel through there. Take that white bit. I'll finish sanding it down to 600. I'll get some sand and sealer on there, then some wax, because obviously I want to finish the whole lot and then put my panel in afterwards. Alright, let's bring this bit of wood to life. Well, I've had better results. That looks quite nice. Oh, that's not a great shine on there. That is an incredibly smooth finish. So I've taken the piece out of the chuck. I've drawn that vine with the leaves. I've drawn that on there freehand. And now I'm going through, I've got Dremel, and I've got a sabre burr in there. I think that's probably about 5mm, bull nose end, and it is very coarse, because what I want to do is just go around and just put all of those leaves in that vine, or the branches, and just put it all into relief. Just let it all stand out nice and clear, and just take the wood away from underneath. This was a lot easier than what I thought it was going to be, actually. I think the hardest thing was trying to do it and make sure my hands and head and the tools and everything didn't get in the way of the camera. But it did. It didn't take me very long to do at all. I did go along afterwards. I got a much smaller piece and went through just to sharpen all the edges up, so it's made them really stand out very clearly, as I say, in relief. Never done anything like this before in my life, and I was really quite pleased with the finished result. So it's just a matter now of just going through and just continue all the way around the piece, just taking the wood away very carefully. So I knew all those years of colouring with the grandchildren, making sure I stayed inside the lines. I knew it would pay off one day. So I've gone through, I've got all that leaf pattern into relief. Now what I'm going to do is go through and dimple all of that background. As you can see, it's going to take quite a bit of time. Again, I'll get back to you. Once I finished dimpling all of this, what I wanted to do was go in with a very fine cutter and mark out all the veins for the leaves. I tried 2 or 3 different tools. I tried a circular saw, but it wouldn't allow me to cut any of the curves, and see most of those were curved. Most of the cuts, all the veins were curved. That didn't work at all, and I ended up with an incredibly fine, it was almost like a tapered cutter, and I went through and marked all the veins through those leaves, because what I wanted to do afterwards, when I sprayed it black, I wanted the black to sit down inside of there and show it, so it would show off the veins in the leaf. Once I've gone through and engraved all of the leaves, all of the veins within the leaves, I then went on, I masked the area off with masking tape, all ready to put the spray it with the black wood dye. So that's masked off, and I'm just going to get and spray that with black. And what I'm really hoping that doesn't leach through. I think this is quite hard on this side, where that centre wood was the dark brown. I don't think it will leach on that side, but this side is quite soft, quite punky, and I'm frightened the colour will actually leach through into there. So let's get and spray a bit of black on there. Sorry about that, I've got to press the record button. So concentrating on what I was doing. Well, what do you reckon of that, people? That was pretty good, didn't it? Alright, let's let that dry off, and then we'll I'm going to give that a coat of red over the top of those leaves. So what I'm going to do now, I've got a piece of 320 sandpaper on a flat pad. Want to take off, I don't want to take it all right back to the wood, I just want to take off different places. I'm going to spray that with red, and that's just going to give me different contrast in different places. That does look pretty good, doesn't it? I've never done this before. I'm making it as I go along. The very last thing I want to do to this is a thing called dry brushing. I have some metallic acrylic paints. This is a bronze. First person I saw do this was Liz Kent down at the Andals show a few years ago. And what you do is, one of my wife's old makeup brushes, I find these are really good to do it with, and you get a little dab of paint on your brush, and then you take nearly all of it off. So you've got hardly anything left, and then you just flick that over the top of there, and it just, you get a really light coat over the top. And then what that does, it just flicks over the highlighted areas, and that gives that a nice coppery metallic finish to it. That, I think, looks pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. So what I need to do now, because that's acrylic, I need to leave that to dry overnight, and then I'll come back in the morning and I'll hollow that out. I've left that overnight, that's all nice and dry now. I'd only rough turn that and left that, and I quite like that as a feature on there. And I'm not sure whether to leave it there or not. I might just do like I do on the others, just leave a ring on the top and take that away. I apologise to my regular viewers, because I'm just going to run through. This is my hollowing tool, and I'm just going to run through again how this works. This is just for people really who watch this as maybe as a one-off. But what you're looking at the moment is a 7-inch monitor, colour monitor, and what you're seeing is a camera mounted above my hollowing tool. That is my hollowing arm, and that is the edge of the vase that or hollow piece that I want to hollow. In the middle of the screen there's that black dot that's right above the tip of my tool, and wherever my tool goes, that black dot will follow. So when that tool goes inside of that hollow piece, I know exactly where that tool is in relation to the side wall of the vase. So it just negates the need for me to constantly stop in measuring the thickness of the wall. I just know exactly how thick it is and what I need to be doing, how much more wood I can take out of the inside. Very simple process, but it is very clever the way it works. So that's all set up, so now we're off to hollowing now. I'm going to start just by opening that hole up. I've already run I think it was 25mm spade bit down through there, and now I'm just going to use that and just gently hollow the rest of that vase away, or the hollow piece. Is it a vase? I don't think it is a vase. much finished hollowing this now. You see on the screen there, that's my hollowing bar going in there. That's the lid or top of the hollow form, and there's my tip of my tool. If you just follow that, that's just touching the inside of the wall there. So you see that's about 10mm. It's a little bit thicker there. I can't quite get around that corner. And then we get down there, we're back to about 10mm all the way down there. 10mm. Down there we've got a little bit in that corner still. I'll just take that out in a minute. And we've got about 20mm left on the bottom. I like to leave a little bit on the bottom, a little bit of weight on there, just make it, you want to make it bottom heavy, just so that it sits up okay. That's that all sanded. I've sanded that down to 600. We'll get some sanded sealer and some wax on there now. I've gone through all these cracks. I've put super glue in there just to seal them all up. And I'm hoping now I've got this nice and thin, a uniform thickness right the way through. So if there's any more drying to be done, which I wouldn't have thought there was, but if there is, it shouldn't crack. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that from a position of certainty or position of wishful thinking. I'm getting colour reflected back in there, so we're getting a pretty good finish on there. Well, there's a very good shine on there. Okay, YouTubers, I'm just going to take that out, chuck, take the bottom off, and I'll get back to you. Well, here we go, YouTube. This week's offering. A nice piece of beech, hollow form, a nice inlay of just vine and leaves, really. Black, oversprayed with red, and then just flicked over with a little bit of acrylic copper. Give it a little metallic effect, just make them stand out a little bit more. I quite like that. Been a very nice project, fun to do. But I think overall, it's a beautiful finish on there. The lovely contrast between the dark wood and the white wood on one side and the other. Bit of yin and yang going on there, I suppose, and that relief panel in there. Very nice project. Very pleased with it. Another good day in my workshop. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.